introduce our guest speaker, the Honorable Premier Higgs.
Thank you very much. You know, Faytene mentioned the wow factor. It's already happened. Amazing. This is an acclamation. Imagine if it had been a runoff. But it's so impressive to be here tonight and to see this young lady and how hard she has worked to show what she really is made of. And Jacques, I've got to thank you. I don't think I've done any of that over the last 6 years. But tonight, I've got to thank you because he pointed out that Faytene, and with all of you probably here in this room that signed up when the leadership review was under the question, that it made the difference. It made the difference in my ability to carry on with strength and conviction of doing what is right. And obviously, I have a partner here of 45 years this past summer that we believe in what we're building here in New Brunswick. And you know what challenged us at the beginning was I was tired of comments and questions from across the country saying whatever New Brunswick's doing, do the opposite. We're going over the cliff. And all of these things that were not in the best interest of the province. And all of us that were thinking about, well, wow, why can't we do better? And so, you know, we're not going off the cliff anymore. And maybe some of you know about Richard Sayon's book. And I've asked him to do a second edition or third edition and kind of rewrite it. Because the province is being seen for the first time as a place to be, a place to live. And with a candidate like this, with the conviction that she's already showing, and the changes we've made, maybe we don't need election at all. We'll just get you to go through the ridings and everybody else will say, whoa, this is it, I'm backing out. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jacques, you didn't answer whether you'd vote for it or not. But this is a good time. But building for the future is what it's been all about. So certainly getting a financial footing that we can be proud of, that we're not just continually going in debt, and we have accomplished that, but there's always more to do. We've done this without raising taxes. We'll continue to reduce taxes. And I'm fully on side that carbon tax has not proven to do anything but raise prices across this country. Amen. And raise prices in every sector. And we want it gone as well. When we look at the different things that we can address, and we talked about healthcare, the challenge, you know, over the years, every government has thrown money at healthcare. We have put 21% increase in healthcare in the last 2 years. But you know what's going to fix healthcare is a managed healthcare system, a patient-first healthcare system. So if you can't get a hip and knee surgery in St. John in 2 years, but there's an opportunity to get it somewhere else in this province, you should know about it. You should have an opportunity to choose. Yeah, I'll go in 6 months or I'll go in 2 months. I don't need to wait 6 years or 2 years. We have made big improvements on hip and knee surgery. We've reduced the wait time dramatically. But on a managed healthcare system, something we've looked at very clearly is how do we set up a system where Vitality and Horizon work closely and complement each other. And that's the goal. We have a different board structure now. We have a collaboration board that looks at healthcare across the province. And the idea is what we did through COVID. We worked together as Vitality and Horizon to get the best results we possibly could. And that's what we're doing in the system now. We're asking, you know, people to just look at the system across the network and say, you know, we don't need to duplicate our efforts, but we can expand our efforts and our capability by utilizing the 22 hospitals that exist throughout this province and the people that are working in them. And we're working with that. We're bringing more doctors into the system. We have a net increase in doctors. We're bringing more nurses in the system. We have a net increase in nurses. But there are challenges across this country with nurses, healthcare professionals. And I need a drink. If I could just get some water, please. But the point is, how do we do something unique and manage healthcare for the first time? How do we do something different in social systems, social services, subsidized housing? What about a lease-to-own concept? Where basically, if you're in a subsidized home, you have a chance to own that facility 20 years from now or whenever. But it's a pride of ownership. It's a path out, a path moving forward in a direction that people feel good about. Homelessness, something we never had before. Thank you. Never had before like we do today. So we have a situation with mental health, with drug addiction, that we're experiencing now throughout our province that is new. So having a method to recovery, not a life on drugs, but a method for recovery, a mental health and addiction center that is based on that, based on you go in for treatment, we find a way out, we find a way to stay connected so you have a future in living and working in society and supported by society. And that is a goal that we have. I talked about it in the throne speech. I mentioned it a lot. It'll be something that'll be a reality over the next number of months. How do we get better utilization of people and equipment? How do we, pardon? Yeah, all right. See, I need more help than you do. Let's look at a situation with paramedics. Now, we're using paramedics a lot in terms of advanced care paramedics that are going into homes. So, if they're picking up someone or they do an assessment right there in the home or they help that. We have paramedic stations all over the province. So what if those paramedic stations actually became related to a clinic or related to help? So you could drop in there and say, I got a little problem. It's not an urgent problem. If it was an urgent problem, you're at the right spot. But you actually they could be part, and they would be part and willing to do this. And I've talked to paramedics about this. I've talked to the CEO of Medivie about this, and let's utilize the people that are there in our communities. I first got kind of talking about this when I was up in Plaster Rock, and they were talking about getting people in their health clinic. And they said, our doctor's retiring. We don't have someone here to take over. And I said, where's the nearest paramedic station? Well, it's about, 10 kilometers outside of town. I said, well, what if it was right here at the clinic? Or what if your clinic was 10 kilometers outside of town? You would have access to service that's there 24/7. Except if it was on emergency, which isn't all the time, of course. So the idea is let's continue to find innovation in the way we deliver service and the way we make things happen. That is the goal. So how do we get on this mission on parental rights? It came as a bit of a surprise to me that we actually had a policy that put actually teachers in a very difficult position. Put teachers in a position where they couldn't be truthful with the parents because of the policy. And so what are we trying to do? We're trying to protect everyone. We're trying to find a solution. But we're not giving up on parents. We don't want a policy that says, oh, well, parents are second. Parents are they're the continuous force in a child's life. And that never ends. I know that with us, Marcia and I, we have 4 daughters, we have 5 grandchildren now, and we want our children to be involved in their lives. We want to be involved in their grandchildren, and we believe that's important. And all across this country, we've seen it's important. And we know things are changing in what we see in Europe now, and how they're looking at how we treat real concerns, but how we find a solution to make it work. And the housing, we've 80,000 new people that have come to the province over the last 2.5 years. And so, yes, we have a housing crisis, and I know all of your homes are worth more now than they were a few years ago, and you find that out every year, tax season. And I usually hear about it. But it is the reality of having more people now in our province. And we all have to do our part in housing. So I got to tell you a little story about what we're doing for our family. So about a year ago, we have one daughter that's living here in Quispamsis, and her husband and two grandchildren. And they sold their home about a year ago. Market was good, things could work out, and so they sold their home. So that was fine, and we weren't at our place that often, and when we'd come and we'd go. And so we said, well, you can move in here. I said, there's no problem. You can move here at our place, and Marcia and I, we talked about it, and until you find a place. Well, guess what? So, we kind of say, well, how's it, you've seen anything? Well, we visited the site, we looked at this, and but now it isn't quite what we want. But we like this place, this works. And well, we like it too, we've been here a while. And so, but it went on, and this, that. So then, one day, I get a picture, and it's my wife sent to me, Marcia, and she says, here's our life in a box. And I said, really? All our furniture's in storage. And my kids' furniture is all in the house. So, squatter's right just kind of takes over, right? Now, I suppose we should feel somewhat relieved because we do have a bedroom in the basement. And we have kitchen rights. And we can watch and be in the family room occasionally. But what is most concerning, this son-in-law, which I've considered my favorite for some time because he's the only one that's living here in the province, is a red seal carpenter. He's building a building outside of our house. And I'm saying, what are you doing with that? He's planning for him and Marcia and I move in. So, I mean, it's just a slippery slope with kids. And I recall my dad, when my dad was about 89, and we had our oldest daughter was overseas. She was at Heathrow Airport coming home, and the flight was canceled. She called, she said, Dad, you know, there's nobody here at Heathrow. I said, really? I said, take a picture of that. I've never seen no one there at Heathrow. But she said, I have nowhere to stay tonight, you know. I'd like to get a hotel, and I really don't have any money. So I said, well, go to the hotel, go find a hotel, and here's my credit card. So she got to the hotel, and she gave the credit card to the guy. And he said, I can't take this. He said, I don't know who this is. So she called me. She said, Dad, they won't accept your card. And I said, well, put him on the phone. So I put him on the phone, and I said, well, I'm her father. Well, how do I know you're your father? I mean, I don't have any way of knowing that. So I thought for a moment, and I said, well, okay. Let's pretend that you and I have never met and I just called. He said, okay. I said, can I book a room? He said, yes, no problem. I said, okay. Can I put on my credit card? He said, yeah, no problem. I said, well, here's my number. So I gave him the number, and he said, very good, it's all booked. He said, I said, so check in immediately, there's room? Yeah, no problem. I said, great. I said, give it to that girl standing in front of you. And he took it. So there's usually a way around the norm. And the point is, many times, and you know, I remember that little mouse that used to go up against the wall and turn, come back, and go this way and that way, and always kept moving because it wouldn't get stopped. So many times we stop by the simplest things and say, oh, can't do any more. And in government, what we've tried to do is harness the power of the civil service. 50,000, 55,000 employees. That when I think about the years I spent working for Irving here, 33 years, and then when I get in government, I'm thinking, wow, we're looking after people's lives. Healthcare, education, social systems, roads, conditions. We're all about helping people have a better life right here in this province we love. And so you say, how do we find better ways? You can't do it passing through only as elected officials, but you can do it by harnessing the power of the civil service in delivering better results every day with the conviction that I too can make a difference. And it takes all of us. It takes us as leaders politically to be part of that team, to look at those opportunities, to be open and challenged by things that need to be done, and be there for the right reason. Be there at a time when you're saying, I'm there to make a difference. And if the decision is not popular, so be it. And I've run up against a few of those, and Jock's reporting on most of them. At least all these characters here have done that. I think this is great. But I'll pay for this, right? We've been doing these year-end interviews. It won't have anything to do with the year-end interview. It'll all be about this. So what I was looking forward to tonight, and driving up here and seeing the number of cars at an acclaimed nomination. It's no wonder you don't have any competition. It's amazing. I want to thank each and every one of you for recognizing, as I've recognized, the conviction, the determination, and the pure ability of this young lady right here that will represent this riding. So, this is the first nomination in our process. So we don't need you to come to all of them. But I wanted to come into a room, and obviously I've met some of you, but there's a lot of people I haven't met here. And isn't it great to see new people joining the party for the right reasons and being part of I'll call it a movement, I'll call it a revolution, I'll call it whatever, but a part of an opportunity to change the face of politics, to change the face of doing things that make sense, to be part of the solution, not be waiting and saying, well, I wish we could do better. No, being part of doing better. Because that's what we need. People to just say, okay, I've got an idea. And here's something you can do. Now, there are lots of ideas, but there's sometimes not lots of action. And that's what we need to fix. And that's the goal. I'm going to. These are my notes. I made those listening to Faytene here tonight. But talking about one of the issues that I've been wanted to move on, there's a few things I'd like to just comment on. Education. Now, in terms of education, we've heard so many issues about people in the classrooms, and money has been poured into education. Now, this year we have about 6,000 new students. We haven't seen that for years. So that is a huge challenge in the system. We were shutting down schools, and now we're opening not only the old ones back up, but we're building new ones, 6 new ones. So it's just like we haven't seen this before, which is quite amazing. But it's putting a big strain on the system. But we know that discipline in the classroom is an issue. We've seen it, we've heard it, we know that there's problems. We know that our math skills are a problem, numeracy, literacy. We know that we need to do better. And the goal here is, how do we engage the teachers to be part of that solution and drive the agenda, to own it and say, you know what, this is a poor decision, politicians. We need help here. So everywhere we go, it's how do we get people to be part of what their expertise is to drive the change and make it stick. Because the biggest challenge with government is a change in government. Now we hope, that won't happen in the next election, right? But the point is, you need continuity in the system. You need continuity that allows you to move along in a progressive way that you're seeing progress, just keep improving. And what changes is people come in with a solution that doesn't necessarily have a foundation, but it's a solution that people say, oh, well, it's different. We can do something different. So engaging people to be part of it is a huge, huge opportunity. And in terms of, we started down a road for language training, because we believe every student should have the opportunity to be bilingual, at least in a conversational style. But we shouldn't have a school system that is segregating their kids. With basically a 2-tiered English system is what we have. And it's just not right. And but we need educators. We need the MBTA. We need the MBTF. We need them to take a stand to help us do better and get better results. And that is the goal. And so there's lots left to do. On the energy file, in addition to the carbon tax, getting rid of the carbon tax, it's how do we get better, how do we allow our resources to pay for the next generation, to pay for research and development, not individuals paying for research and development. I mean, if you look at the plan, the requirements, let's say, for instance, China is building 80 to 100 coal plants a year. They have currently about 1,200. Every coal plant that's shut down and replaced with natural gas would reduce emissions by 60%. And so we have huge natural gas resources here. It could be paying for not only affordability and helping us in terms of additional costs for energy, but it could also be paying for the ability to research a new technology. If you looked at the batteries required for electric cars, we're talking an article recently, I think it was 388 mines. It's just not going to happen in any time soon. There's a transition that we're going through. We're focused on nuclear energy because it is the only one that's actually going to be able to meet the demands. We'll continue to grow wind and solar and other aspects of clean energy. But when you look at the demands that are coming, there's a balance there required. So that's what we're trying to bring across, is the balance. Canada is 1.5% of world emissions. 1.5%. We could be a huge player in reduced emissions in other areas. So when you think about the Ukrainian-Russian war, and you say we gave $600 million here recently, so on the one hand, we're all happy to do that and to help the Ukrainians. But on the other hand, we haven't supplied a drop of energy to offset Russian supplies that are required in Europe. So we're allowing that to happen, and people buying Russian oil and gas, and then funding the Ukrainian on the other side to fight the Russians. So we're kind of funding it in both ways when you think about that process. So how do we be a major player? So in New Brunswick, I think we can punch well above our weight. But tonight it's about you, Faytene. So I'm excited. I'm obviously excited for Faytene to be part of the team. I'm looking forward to, tapping into her skills in many ways as we move forward here for the next election. And yes, there will be an election in 24, Jacques. Jacques was trying to pin me down there today and say, when's the next election going to be? And I said, well, we know it's going to be in 24. So we just stuck with that. And I'll get a chance to meet with a lot of folks tomorrow too. But I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting our new candidate. And Faytene, thank you for your tremendous work ethic and what you're going to bring to the table that will be enthusiastic and contagious for every single one of us. So we appreciate you so much. And thanks each of you for doing this.